Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more AmITheA mixed with relationships too. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Hugely helps out the channel and I can never ever express that enough. So thank you so much if you do those things, and thank you anyway for being here. And let's crack on with today's first story. Our first story comes from Advice A, and it does come with an update, asking, am I the arsehole for not wanting to participate in my niece's wedding after she excluded my daughter? Mine and my sister's families are very close. Our kids are more like siblings than cousins. My eldest niece got engaged and we were all thrilled for her. My daughter and I spent hours on the phone with her, helping her with early wedding planning. My niece even mentioned to my daughter that she was having a hard time finding enough bridesmaids because many of her friends are pregnant. Then we all started finding out who my niece had chosen to be in the wedding party. Everyone in the family was included except for my daughter. My niece asked me and her two sisters to be bridesmaid, asked my son to be a groomsman, included her parents of course, and even asked my ex, who has been estranged from my side of the family since the divorce, to be the usher. She made a wedding website with photos and descriptions of all the people in the wedding party. My daughter is the only one not there. My niece didn't directly tell my daughter that she wasn't included. Instead, she created a text group with all the women in our families except for my daughter to plan hair, makeup, etc. for the day of. My daughter was with me and my other nieces when we got the text and didn't have her phone on her, so she assumed she was included as well. Turns out, she wasn't. When I reached out to my niece for clarification, she stated that my daughter was not going to be included. When I asked her if my daughter could at least get ready alongside us in the bridal suite, doing her own hair and makeup, my niece said no. Her exact words were, there won't be any room for her. My daughter is understandably crushed and has no idea why she would be the only one not included. When she and my niece finally spoke about it, my niece wouldn't explain why she had done this or apologize. Her only words were, it was my decision to make. I'm sorry that you feel upset about it. I hope you can get over it. I never saw my niece as a mean person, but I'm questioning my view on her now. I don't want to participate in a wedding where my daughter has been singled out or excluded for no real reason. I can't think of anything my daughter could have done to offend my niece. It seems that my niece can't come up with a single reason for excluding her either. When my niece asked me to be a bridesmaid, I didn't know that she was planning on asking everyone else in the family except for my daughter. I wouldn't have accepted it if I had known this. Am I the arsehole if I tell my niece that I won't be able to fulfill my commitment as a bridesmaid and just attend as a guest? I've already posed this with my daughter and she thinks that me should both still participate because she doesn't want to be blamed for our dropping out. If I do decide not to participate, I'll be making it clear to my niece that it was 100% my decision to drop out because I feel personally disrespected that she would treat my daughter this way. I'm torn on how to handle this. Edit. Daughter is 22, niece is 34. I think it's really hard to make a call on this one without knowing the reason that why she hasn't been invited. What's happened is that we're clearly missing a reason that's gone on here. But without no one giving you the reason and just knowing your daughter's been excluded for no reason, no one's telling you, I can't really blame you for, wanting to say, I'm stepping out this wedding for my daughter. But at the same time, this is going to come with consequences, really. It's just going to cause family drama down the road. And I think you need to be prepared for that. And hopefully we're going to find out the reason in the update as well. But Mary Ann's Hammock says, not the arsehole at all. The fact that you're included pushes it there for me. If your whole fam had just been guests, I'd say just go, but don't kill yourself getting a great gift. But this is ridiculously strange omission. The fact that both you and your daughter spoke to the bride means you're very reasonable. I'd be very uncomfortable in your position and would bow out. Christ said, no one's an arsehole here. Although I do think it's strange that the bride chose her 50-year-old aunt to be a bridesmaid while excluding her much closer in age cousin. Is your daughter invited to the wedding as a guest? Keeper says, info. Is your daughter what most people would consider prettier than the bride? Could it be jealousy? Even if it is, not the arsehole by the way. Opie replies saying, I will say my daughter is beautiful and I've seen from experience a definite head turner. PR Mink says info. Have your niece and your daughter historically had a good relationship? OP replied saying yes, historically, they have been very close. I had a hand in my niece's upbringing, so she was always like an older sister to my daughter. For reference, my daughter's high school graduation gift was a trip to go visit my niece. OP gives additional info saying my daughter and I are very close, and I think she would have expressed to me if she had any idea of why she was excluded. When we've talked about it seems most hurt because she doesn't understand why. It may also be important to note that I overheard most of their conversation when my niece and daughter discussed it. When my daughter asked why she wasn't included, my niece refused to answer and only said it was my decision to make. My other two nieces, the bride's sisters, are also in their 20s, but there would be no way for the bride to exclude them. I hope the overshadowed part isn't the case, but I'm starting to think it is. I don't want to see my niece as someone who is petty enough to exclude my daughter simply based on that. And a final comment before the update from Miss B90 who says not the arsehole. I'd simply say to your niece, I will be getting ready with my daughter. If that means I cannot be part of your wedding party, so be it. Your niece will simply have to choose. Lose you in the wedding party or allow your daughter to get ready with you. If you're going to be judged for leaving the wedding party, might as well let everyone know why you are being judged. Plus, it is not hard of a request. So now let's move on to that update to hopefully find out what the reason was. Hey everyone, this is the daughter writing the update. My mum didn't know how to do an update post and asked me to write it for her. We're both here to respond to comments if you have any. I saw that a few people asked what my aunt's opinion was after the verdict was given on this post. Here is the answer to that question. My aunt said that she had told my cousin from the beginning that excluding me was going to hurt my feelings and suggested to her that I be a bridesmaid instead of my mother. My cousin turned down the suggestion but would not say why. I also saw some people wondering if something had gone down between my cousin and me that I wasn't telling my mum. This is definitely a valid question. The answer is no. She and I haven't had any problems prior to this, that I know of at least. She has always been like a sister to me. If she ever had a problem with me or anything I've done, I would hope she would tell me. Another question I saw was about my relationship with my father. He and I have a very tense relationship due largely to some mental health problems that he has. Prior to all this, I had confided in my cousin a lot about this. This made her decision to include him over me hurtful in a very poignant way. After reading all your comments and some more deliberation, my mum ended up staying in the wedding party. I appreciate her desire to stand up for me, but I really did want my cousin's wedding to go smoothly, despite my feelings being very hurt. My mum respected my wishes. She's an amazing mum all around, and I'm lucky to have her in my corner. After the conversation I had with my cousin, described in the last post, I was on the fence about attending the wedding. I heard from other relatives that she was concerned that I would sabotage the wedding if I were to attend. I found this comment to be bizarre and confusing. At this point, I decided that it would be best to remove myself from the situation entirely. I told her that I wouldn't be attending and left it at that. It was a hard decision to make, but your reactions to the original post made me feel more confident in my choice. The wedding did end up going smoothly. I heard from multiple sources that there was plenty of extra room in the bridal suite. I wish I could have been there with my family to support her on her big day. She and I have both been part of each other's major life milestones for as long as I can remember. I still haven't figured out why I was the only one excluded, but I've come to the conclusion that she and I must not be as close as I'd always thought we were. At this point, I'm not sure that I want to be. Your feedback on the original post played a large part in me realizing that. Thanks to everyone for reading and for all your responses. We got great insight from everyone who commented, especially those with different perspectives from our own. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to comment. And I was snooping around OP's profile trying to find any extra information about what they might think was going on, and I found another post from OP which just said got engaged. Hi everyone, this is the daughter. For those who are interested enough in our Am I the Arsehole post to follow, a few of the people commented on our update post wanted to be updated when I was planning my own wedding. Now I am. I'm so excited to marry my fiance. If you have any more suggestions or insights, let me know. It's a weird time to be thinking about planning a wedding, but he and I are both really excited for the rest of our lives together. Headbonk immediately asks, now the $1 million question, does the cousin get invited? Hopefully she is definitely only a guest, if she is invited at all. Have you mended the relationship at all? Opie replies saying, "We have not mended the relationship at all. I've made it clear that I am willing to move on if she apologizes, but unfortunately, she has not done that. At this point, I don't plan to invite her." Another commenter congratulated Opie and asked did they ever find out why, and Opie said, "Thank you for the congratulations. We're very excited, and no, I never found out why she excluded me or said those things. To be honest, I'm not even sure that she is consciously aware of why she did it. Surely if there had been a real reason, it would have come out by now. At this point, I just feel kind of sad for her." And I got to say, and it might be completely wrong, but it does kind of feel like what some of the commenters were saying in the original post, that it might be to do with overshadowing the bride on the wedding. You know, daughter's clearly confused in this one why she was excluded and doesn't understand why, and maybe it's because the bride doesn't want to admit, that she's being really insecure of herself and doesn't want to invite someone because they may overshadow them. I don't know. It could be a whole host of reasons, and I wish we knew. I really wish we knew. But what do you guys make of this situation? What do you think the reason was? Have you got any idea? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from a throwaway account who asks, "Am I the arsehole for not wanting my girlfriend to decorate my apartment?" And it does come with an update as well. Throwaway account because she's also on Reddit. I, 29 male, have been with my girlfriend, 24 female, for 2 years now. We've not lived together before, but she's currently 18 weeks pregnant, so I suggested that she move in with me once her lease was up. It ended at the end of June, so she's been living with me for almost 3 weeks now. While we get along well and overall living together has been great, I've noticed that she's started to change things around my apartment. She also brought a few things over since my apartment is fully furnished, so I understand her need to make it feel more like her space. Everything in my apartment is mid-century modern. It's a mid-century modern building, and I bought the apartment because how much I love that style. Some of the things that she's suggesting or bringing into the apartment absolutely does not go with that vibe. She's taken down some of my artwork and replaced it, cleared off shelves I curated and put her knickknacks on it. Went through my pantry and cleared out things she thought were unhealthy, all without asking me. She works from home while I work in the office, so she has a lot more time at the apartment than I do. I just wish she would run things by me first. I'm an architect and she's an editor and doesn't have the same designer eye, which clearly shows. What really bothered me was that she started to throw some things away without asking. I went to take out the trash and saw some birthday cards I kept were in there. When I asked about it, she said she was just getting rid of clutter, but her stuff is more like clutter and mine has actual sentimental value. I told her to stop touching things in the apartment, and she pointed out that she should have a say because she lives there, which I agree with, but she doesn't run anything by me. Now she's being very avoidant and passive aggressive. So, am I the arsehole? I think it's going to be one of those rare everyone sucks here. You're living together, you invited her to stay with you. She's pregnant with your baby. You're making a life together at the moment. You need to sit down and discuss how you want things and come to some sort of compromise together. You telling her not to touch stuff in the apartment, she's living there with you now. I can understand her wanting to have some part of it, but also her throwing away your stuff without talking to you about it as well is equally an arsehole move. Get on the same page before the baby turns up. It's an everyone sucks here from me, but Northern Lit Up says everyone sucks here. You do realize that when you have your baby, your carefully curated apartment vibe will change very much, right? That said, she shouldn't be throwing your stuff out without asking you. Time to sit down and have an adult conversation and come up with a compromise. Yitzy says everyone sucks here. I would have said not the arsehole if not for I told her to stop touching things in the apartment. She has an equal say in what your space looks like and a right to make it feel like a home for her. She's the arsehole for making changes without talking to you, and especially for throwing some of your stuff out without your consent. You guys need to have a talk and reach a compromise. Did you go out your way to make her feel like the home is hers when she moved in? It doesn't necessarily sound like that's the case. Half Bear Half Cat says everyone sucks here. She should be able to help decorate the apartment, but she shouldn't throw away possible sentimental items without asking. You also sound full of yourself. I Am Herding Cat says, no one's an arsehole here, but you two need to sit down and talk. 1, you can't invite someone to move in and not expect that they will make some changes. 2, It's not okay to throw things away that belong to other people, and she needs to quit that. 3. You say that your stuff is more important than hers because it's sentimental, but you need to consider that her stuff might be sentimental as well. 4. You are both going to have to learn to compromise. If the two of you can't work this out and quickly, it's a very poor indicator for the longevity of your relationship. And one more from NoRub1544 who says everyone sucks here. Mostly you're the arsehole though. It's not your apartment. It's shared now. There should be some compromise even if it doesn't go with your vibe. Why should she ask if it's both of your spaces? The only reason I am saying everyone sucks here is because she threw your cards away. That's not cool. She should have talked to you before throwing your things away. But you really need to figure out how to share space. Have you ever lived with anyone else before? So then OP goes on to update the post which says we talked about it and agreed to have a decluttering day and to go over some things that could be updated, then have a shopping trip together this weekend. I really do want to make her feel more at home in our apartment, so we're going to make it feel less like a bachelor pad and more like a family home. I also opened up to my therapist about all this and I'm now being evaluated for OCD, which was recommended before but I was in denial about it. I thought that how I felt was just because I've never had a roommate before, and I just don't know how to share a space. But it's like one thing that's out of place will be the only thing that I can think about all day, which apparently is not normal. So I'll continue to go to therapy. Maybe couples therapy if we really hit a wall, but so far we've both been more open with how we feel and trying to communicate better. I mentioned this in the comments, but I've signed up for parenting classes, both for myself to go to and for my girlfriend and I to go together. A lot of you recommended books, podcasts and other subreddits. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate all the advice. I'm really trying to do better. And to me, I think that's an absolutely lovely little update. Someone recognizing their faults, recognizing, potential issues with their own mental health to do with their OCD and finding ways to deal with it, talking to their therapist, recognizing that they've been in denial and coming up with compromises with the girlfriend to make the space more like a family home. I think that's a wonderful update in some ways. And Teal Housewife went down a similar path where OP responded to it and said, "This is a great update. I'm so glad you're taking care of your mental health proactively. I was diagnosed with OCD in my teens, but my symptoms were always mild. After I had my daughter at age 30, they became a lot more severe and really interfered with my ability to function. Getting out ahead of this is the best thing you can do, not just for yourself, but for your family." OP replies saying, "I'm trying my best to. I didn't start going to therapy until this year, but it's been really beneficial to me. My parents and friends always joked that I had OCD, but they only saw the more milder symptoms. Since having an unexpected pregnancy come up and my girlfriend moving in, I feel like my heightened anxiety has made it much, much worse. Hopefully I can get an actual diagnosis soon and we can come up with a good plan for treatment." Another question came out from Sabrina who said, "Did you ever address the fact that she threw out your belongings before speaking to you?" OP replied saying yes, she apologized for that. She thought the cards were in a junk drawer, but that wasn't the case. She said that she would ask before throwing stuff away she wasn't 100% sure of. And we're having a decluttering day since she seems to be nesting and her wanting to throw out stuff is part of that. Now, what do you guys make of this one so far? Oh man, sorry to go off on again, but whenever someone's like really open and honest with themselves and they're trying to do better and you can see how genuine it is in just a post, I think it's absolutely wonderful. It sets me off sometimes, I gotta admit that. It may kind of seem like sort of minor from the outside, the issues that's going on, but there's a lot to be dealing with for their family at the moment, isn't there? You've got OP who's was in denial about that OCD to some point. They've had their girlfriend move in, she's pregnant as well. So there's a family on the way. There's a lot to deal with, as well as the whole dealing with your own mental health at the same time. So it goes from the outside, almost like a minor issue of decorating an apartment to quite a big thing in some ways. But I really do wish them well for the future, and hopefully we'll see an update one day about hopefully he's tackling that OCD and the family is doing great. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and hopefully you've enjoyed today's stories, let me know. And if you'd like to listen to a different version of these stories, there's the podcast, of course, mark-narrations.com, where you can pick out your favorite podcast there and get involved. You can also find it on Spotify, Apple, Acast, wherever you want to. And if you can't find it on your favorite one, let me know and I'll see if I can do something about that. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care, you cheeky so-and-sos, and much love.
Yeah, man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in despair, crime everywhere. You're selling false hope cause you just don't care. Nah, you just don't care. Nah, you just don't care. You just don't. Still selling false hope cause you